Welcome to That Was the Week That Was Woke. Week 2, show 2, 24th of January 2025. Good to see you all again. Thanks for your support and feedback last week. Keep that support coming in, and topics. I mean, woke topics, my God. Gosh, it goes on forever, doesn't it? Now, let's get straight onto it. Let's get Rachael straight on. Hiya, Rachael. How's you been?
Oh, fine, thank you, Brendan. How are you?
Was it a woke week for you?
Well, yeah, it's been an interesting woke week. I will say some interesting things have happened overseas for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we need for this show for woke stuff to. Well, I've got to make it rhyme, don't I? Where did any woke items break the news? Break. Yeah, I'll try. I've got to get that rhyme right. What broke that was woke in the week that was? Right. Okay, something like that. Anyway, everybody, you know the score by now because you tuned in last week. But just in case some of you didn't, gosh, this subject is pejorative. We agree on that one. Yeah, it's a wide definition, but it gives us fun. This is a wrap up of the week. So is it about DEI? Is it about the Jaguar advert or advertising when they go too far or too stereotypical? Is it about an author or a playwright or a director who's waded into this topic and may get their fingers burned? Is it a movie or Marvel or Doctor Who, of course? Is it, well, yeah, more Marvel there. Is it the culture wars? The culture wars and comments about the culture wars. So that's what we're looking at. So, and of course, we always round up our show with the wokest of all those topics of the week, which racks our brains a little bit, but there you go. So, might as well kind of start us off with, I mean, there's only one person in town to talk about half the time. Donald Trump. I mean, he's gone blazing in with so many announcements that it takes you weeks to unravel them all. But just culturally speaking, Winston Churchill's bust is now back in the
Yes,
Oval
he's
Office,
back in the White House. Good.
which is really funny because Keir Starmer has taken Thatcher out, and Rachel Reeves has taken certain pictures of chancellors out. So it seems to be our British government has a problem with some of their leaders, but there's an American president who really does want a British leader in the Oval Office. It's fascinating, this.
Yeah, it is fascinating. It says a lot, doesn't it? If they won't have it there as a reminder, of like how to do something or how not to do something. They just can't bear looking at it, so they have to have it removed.
Yeah, I mean, it's the strength of personality. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you surround yourself by strong leaders of in history, even if you didn't agree with what they did,
Yeah.
you must be a strong person. But I can only guess that if you don't like Mrs. Thatcher's picture, even though she was the longest running prime minister and the first woman prime minister, can't be taken away, whether you
No.
disagreed or not. If you take the picture down, is it because you can't cope with it?
Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't actually take something like if I was a politician, I wouldn't take Maggie Thatcher's picture down, no matter whether or not I agreed with her or disagreed with her. I will remember, that she started her career speaking in a very high voice, but then she switched to a much lower voice to make more of an impact. That's really clever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there'll be things that leaders do and things like that that you can inspire from, and then things that you do that they do that you might disagree with doesn't mean to say you have to take it down. And I think he was right to put it back in, no matter what people think of Winston Churchill. I think during the BLM movement, didn't they try to take down the statue of
Well, they
Churchill?
wanted to spray it, didn't they? So we had to
Yeah, something
barricade it.
like
It had
that.
to be protected, just like the cenotaph had to be
That's right.
protected.
And then in Bristol, they pulled down a statue, and I can't remember which
Yeah,
statue it was.
Colston, was it Colston?
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
Edward Colston, is it called?
I think so. And all because of, they don't agree with what that person did. And, statues are there not necessarily to serve as an amazing positive reminder. They also serve as the negative ones as well. And
Yeah,
how
and they might be the first person to do something, but as time goes on, they weren't the best person, but they were the first. And
true.
historical marks are historical marks.
Yeah. And you can put it into a museum if you want to take it down.
Yeah. And you could say there's the new as administration waving goodbye to DEI
Yeah.
as the
I
Biden
saw some
eloquently.
interesting tweets about these four the other day, in particular the two wives, and how they are immigrants and how they are potentially like illegal immigrants. I'm
Well,
pretty sure they've passed comment on their papers, but okay.
yes, I know. It
You're just not happy that the Republican Party are in the White House at the moment.
I
That's your
know, it's
problem.
that tit for tat that always seems to happen now, which is
Yeah.
very immature.
Oh, it's
So,
Dylan
obviously
Mulvaney.
well, of course, I mean, if you're gonna do it, that was the week that was woke, I mean, but, go woke, go broke is clearly what's on the agenda in one of my first items. There's even
Mm.
been a book about it, I'm gonna get that. Go woke, go broke,
I
okay?
might get that too, actually. That'd be interesting to read.
Yes, about what it's done to corporate America. But the reason I have that title is because on the Hunatics Facebook page, somebody has put it on. You hear these anecdotes all the time.
Yeah.
And we being Doctor Who fans, there we go. When my two were little over 20 years ago, there would be aisles in the toy shops full of Star Wars and Doctor Who merch. Spotted today in Forbidden Planet, one small rack for both franchises. And Disney are actually still producing new content for both right now. Woeful. And I think that it does sum it up. I mean, Forbidden Planet, Doctor Who stuff has just disappeared.
Mm.
People can argue the toss, but its content and what it's delivering is not grabbing people.
It's certainly not. It's actually quite sad in many respects. Doctor Who ended up on the BBC audit as one of the
Mm.
most successful franchises of 2024, but it's got like 60 plus years of 60? Yeah, 60 plus years of history, and they release a lot of the classic and the old stuff and things that surround that, and that is generally, I would imagine, what would be its main boost, because what was it? I wanted to buy the Celestial toy maker.
Mm.
I couldn't get it at first because it sold out.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to wait to go back in and get it. So, yeah.
Some of those Blu-ray collections, if you don't get them straight away, if you go on whatever online thing later on, the markup on them. And so
I
yes,
bet. I bet. Yeah.
so season
Yeah.
seven's coming out in March, and my God, that'll be gold dust. John Pertwee's first season.
Mm.
But Jodie dolls are still on shelves and stuff, and all the rest of it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
is this a symptom of go woke, go broke? Is this
I
where
don't
Doctor
think
Who's?
so. Well,
Um,
I think so because, like, I mean, well, they introduced a female doctor. One of the reasons to get more girls watching, I guess you could say, but that's the sort of thing that they try and do with any type of superhero thing, isn't it? They do a gender swap, like a Captain
yeah.
Marvel or something like that, in the hope that they would actually grab the girls' attention. And it's like, no, just create new things.
Well, and this is it. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw this illustration. I thought, as we get into this, yeah, this is the argument lots of people have had. What grieves me is whatever you list as a victim of the woke agenda, Doctor Who is now listed as probably the worst victim of it, and
Mm.
that's what really hurts me. Yes, it's happened to Star Wars. We had the all-female cast, as you said, they do the gender swapping. Ghostbusters, they tried that.
Out of everything that they've done, like, I think it was the female Ghostbusters. Maybe it's because I like Ghostbusters the least out of all of these. Um, but that didn't bother me so much. But also, I was in Japan at the time, so that sort of thing, gender swapping, wasn't a very big thing in Japan. It was
And that
rarely done, so I was a bit sort of, none the wiser, so to speak, as to what was going on at that time. And then I got wind of it after. all-female Ghostbusters.
Although I
I
must admit,
appreciated it for what it was, but it wasn't
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I must admit, I love Melissa McCarthy, so
Yeah,
most things she does, I'm quite happy with. So,
mm,
but I understand some people saying you've
yeah.
changed it, you changed that.
But
So,
I also understood why people got angry with it.
yeah,
I get that. Serious stuff.
yeah.
No,
Now,
it is because it's people's franchises and it's male dominated. A lot of this is male dominated.
yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
men.
And men again. Well,
Well, it's true.
with this go woke, go broke possible argument, I have to show you the audience appreciation figures for the Christmas Day episode,
Yes.
Joy to the World.
I've not seen these.
Now,
Okay,
you
I
know how
was
season one looked, don't you?
terrible.
So it was mostly 70s, as you know, Space Baby 75, and then it did get to 80 for Empire of Death, 81 for Legend of Ruby Sunday.
Yeah.
So your guess, because Joy to the World, a lot of people have said we're sitting in the middle somewhere, you know, Joy to the
Yeah,
World was
I
okay.
I I was sat in the middle on it as well. There's lots of things I liked about it, lots of things I didn't. Um, 79,
Okay, I'll put you out of your
80.
misery.
Oh
76.
my goodness.
Seven. It's now so as this is from Gary Lee. Thank you, Gary Lee. Joint third lowest since 2005.
Jeez Louise.
So we're going backwards again.
We
And this
are.
and this is Stephen Moffat. So this is a bit of a double whammy. The Fitzroy Tavern, that's two of them now, are starting to deliver really bad
Mm,
audience appreciation figures.
they are. That's really bad.
But it wasn't a story. When you really look at it, and we've said this already in reviews and everything, but it it was bitty. You had three deaths very quickly, but the suitcase thing, the star at the end, Anita, good actress, good character, but had nothing to do with Doctor Who, really. If you look at the story, it was light and frothy, insignificant. What was the point? Why bother watching? If it's about audience enjoyment of something, I bet there would. If you tune into Doctor Who, you probably thought, "I wanted Doctor Who," and it wasn't there.
Mm. I reckon probably what brought this down would have been the religious imagery, which I'm not that fussed about in that regards, the religious imagery. Um, the fact that that science is that the root of religion, especially on Christmas Day, but said said illness that was going on
Yeah.
at that time, they made it that as the well, they essentially dated it, and that sort of thing was. Even though I didn't talk about it in my review, I had to add it to some notes in the comments section because I hadn't mentioned it. That was pretty raw. I mean, I don't mind that they did it, but that particular subject, it was still very fresh. Maybe it wasn't the right way to go.
So you could argue whether it fits the go woke, go broke, but the fact is, when you're trying to be a bit political in subtle messages or,
Mm.
platforming, if you're going to go a bit heavy on the religion at the end, as in, the Star of Bethlehem is blooming her, joy, that sort of thing. You're attacking church establishment. Some people are still religious. You've got your politics in there. You haven't got much of a Doctor Who story, let's be frank. Um,
He doesn't save the day again. It's the
no.
Impossible Girl storyline again, which I'm bored of now.
So my next quiz question on the go woke, go broke, and thinking of when we were talking about all the merch for the old stuff of Doctor Who. The second sentence there is the War Games on BBC Four had a rating of 370,000. Now that doesn't mean too much to me, but I
No,
have also got the audience appreciation figures for that.
they released them.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
And that was 83.
Jeez. Ha!
And then that was a mess of editing.
It was, but if that can do better than that, well,
So a 1969 serial,
mm,
colorized, but I mean, it doesn't look the same as a
no.
2025 Disney production. Um,
The War Games, for all its flaws that it has in it, and it does have a lot
mm,
of flaws, is consistently a 10 times better story than Joy to the World. In fact, anything in the last series is better than what we got.
So it just shows you. I wonder. You will. I'll never be able to prove it, but I wonder if the 83 for the War Games is because it's nostalgia and it's Troughton and
Nostalgia, Troughton,
I
the
don't think it's because of the
regeneration.
master. I don't think it's that. I think despite that, it was nice to see Troughton with a blue shirt and all the rest of
Yeah.
it, and just to see all that and Zoe and Fraser.
You don't think that perhaps the fan regeneration, which for the record, I think is a very nice regeneration for a fan-made thing, could have added to that score?
I think it's controversial, but it could have
Mm.
added to the score in the fact that I was relieved that there was no fugitive doctor.
Oh, I was relieved about that.
Yeah. So my anticipation levels were high, and I think once they give us what was the only thing that I would accept, maybe the relief gets the audience appreciation up a bit.
Maybe, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go. 76. Let's remind ourselves 75 with
76.
Space
That's not
Babies.
good. That's not good.
I mean, this is so the,
That'll
the
be
two.
Monday's video sorted for me.
Well, there you go.
Carry
There,
on,
I serve
Brendan.
you up. There you go.
Thank you.
But no, the thing is, Space Babies, I think everybody has admitted that that was a poor launch for the season.
Oh, goodness me, yeah.
But
Like, no matter what people think of Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, or him as an actor, or him as a person, like, he should have had better than that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then so okay, RTD's gone on off on the wrong position there. This is Stephen Moffat. Now, Stephen
Yeah.
Moffat, I think he got 78 for Boom.
Yeah.
So both of our top showrunners are not landing well.
Did we score this on the review that we did? I can't remember. Did we give it a score?
Do you know what my brain? I'm sure he did. I just can't remember. It's a blank. I should look it up.
Yeah.
Um, it was middle ranking regarding
Mm.
everybody wasn't going to say it's the worst of the worst, like Power of the Doctor, but neither was anybody going to say it was outstanding or good. I think we said it needed improvement again.
Yeah. Because our scores that we'd given every single particular episode in the last series were reflected within the AI figures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They matched the AI figures pretty much. We all agreed that the Empire of Death was marginally better than a lot of the other stories. Yeah, lost my train of thought, but yes,
But then the other thing,
we are
yeah,
consensus with them.
we do. I mean, we normally have a panel of five and five people, and they're not. It's diverse views. It's never been an echo chamber, and therefore
I
you
thought the
do.
other day when we had a debate and we kept agreeing with
I
each
know, I know, I know, I know. Somebody in the thread kept saying, "God, Brendan can't cope with this agreement, lack."
Sorry, carry on.
But
That's a rare one,
the other
though.
thing about the War Games being so high compared to Joy to the World on audience appreciation is it just gets on with war zones and adventure. Forget the war chief and the master at the end on a bit of regeneration. Most of the story is just bang, 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 get on with it. It's Doctor Who as was.
Yeah, it does what the original War Games doesn't. It speeds it up a bit.
Yeah.
If it's the right way of speeding up, that is very debatable, I would say. But it does do that. I always say that War Games could have easily been 8 episodes rather than 10, but they had 10 to fill, so they decided to obviously do 10
Yeah.
parts to the War Games. And that's fine. That's fine.
You could argue War Games, it is what it says on the tin, the
Very
War
much.
Games, and Joy to the World did not bring joy to the fans at all.
I was a bit miffed. Sorry, I'm just bad. I'm in the zone now about War Games at the moment, but I was a bit miffed that they did Rudolph Walker a bit of a dirty and cut most of
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
role out of it. I was a bit miffed. They took the most important thing that he did, and it's like, oh, come on, we could have just seen quite a fair chunk out of his episode. You know, you're all about
Yeah.
representation. Sorry, where was the representation with Rudolph Walker, a fine actor, one of my favorite actors, and you just did a dirty on him?
Because while they do have a woke agenda on Doctor Who, which is damaging it,
Yeah.
while they were editing the War Games, and I thought the Mexican was going to cop it, they kept most of the Mexican in. Well, as
Interesting.
you say, Rudolph Walker was dropped just about, and then you go right. So your agenda to get the war chief as the master was more
Mm.
important than your diversity and inclusion agenda.
Exactly. I mean, I know Rudolph is only in it for literally like one part, maybe just a bit more than one part. I know it's not a big role, but in the 1960s, that was a huge deal
Mm,
for a
yeah,
black actor.
yeah. And it wasn't worthy, but they wanted to add scenes that weren't in the original. So,
Yeah.
that's when it gets naughty, and that's when you think, "Well, the BBC, what are you up to?" Now,
Yeah.
this one, I know you're not an expert on the next one. I'm sticking with the go woke, go broke, or well,
Okay.
but it may not carry water. This one. Now, this one, I'll just say what it is here.
Oh, okay.
So we've got match of the day. Instead of it just being Gary Lineker, who, as you
Right.
know, tweets a lot, um,
Yes.
we've now got the BBC announcers, Kelly. Was that Kate's there? Says,
Kelly Cates. Yeah.
yeah, she's Kenny Dalglish's daughter, and she's been presenting sports programs on Sky, so she's very accomplished.
Right. Yeah.
Mark Chapman, who's been doing he does the spare bits of match of the day anyway, so he's like the understudy.
Okay.
And Gabby Logan, well, she's an accomplished sportswoman and sports presenter.
And she's married to Kenny
Yeah.
Logan?
And of course, her dad was a Welsh international footballer, Terry Orrath. So,
Okay.
you know, these three I have no problem with at all. I
Right.
know if you're going to say the go woke, go broke, you'd say, well, it's male football and you've now got two female presenters, but I have
Right.
no problem with that at all.
Okay.
I think these two women, since women is the thing that'll get the notice here, and I know there's certain ex-footballers who go mad about women commentators on male football, blah 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 blah. These two know their stuff,
Mm. Right. Yeah.
and so therefore, the big arguments that I've been kind of using, go woke, go broke, I say is incorrect in this case.
I would actually agree with you. Yeah. All right. I have, when I've been with my dad, he likes to watch something like Match of the Day. I'm not very up on my football. All right. I'm not into football. Sorry if I've just offended anyone, but in that case, well, I'm sure you'll be fine with it in the end. Um, I'm joking, by the way. I don't mean that in a rude way. But I noticed that there was an increased presence in recent years of female commentators and female presenters on Match of the Day. I have noticed that.
Yeah,
So I don't think this is too much of an issue. I mean, the Lionesses won the World Cup a few years back, didn't they? The
yeah.
Women's Football World Cup. So and women do like football. It's not male dominated in this case. Um, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I've got no issue with that.
No, no, and so I want to show my fairness here that our little kind of catchphrases here and there don't always work, and I thought this would get me angry. It depends who they picked, but actually, when you look at those two female presenters, my God, both very, very experienced.
Yeah, and they're both involved in sport.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think so long as they've come from that background, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kelly, her dad's Kenny Dalglish. I mean, for God's sake, she was born into football, and the same with Gabby actually. But she
Yeah,
was a gymnast. She was a gymnast for the country as well.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that might just
Um, I
about
hope
do that.
I hope everyone has recovered from the shock that I don't like football quicker than they
Well,
got over the fact that Tom Baker is not my favorite doctor.
yeah, and I can definitely agree. She doesn't like Tom Baker playing football. That's really killer
Oh,
stuff.
he's 91 now.
I know.
That's amazing.
What's lovely is he's still got his faculties and he's
Good,
so 91 and to be able to just get on with life, very good.
good.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Now, I was trying to be nice and fair with this one, but I think the next one maybe not. So we've got the
Hmm.
GLAAD Awards. The GLAADies are back.
Oh, the GLAAD.
And the GLAAD, which just in case, I mean, I have to remind myself, it's the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. They're trying to combat negative portrayals and promote acceptance. Now, that's worthy enough. However, look at the nominees. Outstanding. Now, remember, I love the word outstanding. Did we ever say anything was outstanding this last year with Doctor Who?
I
But
don't think so.
I don't think so. Doctor Who is nominated for outstanding drama for obviously combating negative portrayals and promoting acceptance. Just in case you can see the other ones there, 911 Lone Star. I've seen a lot of that. There's the two gay characters in it who are quite nice to look at. Heartbreak High, I haven't seen that. Interview with the Vampire was very good. Star Trek Discovery, really? That was weird to me. Anyway, the point I was kind of looking at there is, I think a lot of Doctor Who fans would say the fact that Doctor Who's nominated for combating negative portrayals of gay or lesbian, the Doctor's not gay and shouldn't be, and the Rogue episode, for example,
Mm.
shouldn't be a worthy. Anyway, it's not a very good episode for portrayal. I think
Well,
it's a negative portrayal of
I,
gay people.
I yeah. I was going to say, is there anything positive about it? I mean, uh, a lot of people had a lot of issues with that. Sorry, and it was more about how it was done. Now, a lot of people see the Doctor as asexual, which is actually part of the LGBT community, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you mean
Asexual.
one of the letters?
Yeah, asexual. Asexuality is still a type of sexuality, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I
But
think it's
so yeah, so you're changing it for the sake of changing it. How is that a positive?
now you see, it's nominated because they've not really thought about it and thought, well, he's a gay doctor and he's a gay actor, so isn't this amazing?
No.
However, I will argue that if they're saying that these awards are to combat negative portrayals, I think it's a negative portrayal of now a gay character chasing another gay character and
Mm,
forgetting you were looking after a 19-year-old girl. I mean,
yeah. That's almost like you wanna party and have a good time.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But why couldn't they have gone down the route of, well, Doctor Who has its first queer gay actor in the role. Why couldn't they have gone down that route? That's a good step in
I
that
don't know what
direction
I don't know what
in
category it can't
in
be.
that sense.
It can't be for outstanding drama because Space Babies, nah.
Well, that
Um,
wasn't
uh,
outstanding.
see, what I will say though is I feel as though this isn't my community. I know the community doesn't exist. They pretend they do. So if this is a community that represents me, they're all mad on RuPaul. They're all mad on this and that and the other. So maybe
Mm.
Devil's Chord really struck a chord with them. And actually, I'm thinking I don't think that's an outstanding drama either.
What, Devil's Chord?
Yeah.
No, lots of good concepts in the Devil's Chord. Didn't execute it particularly well. Well, maybe that is what they're basing it on because you've got Jinx. Jinx, I believe, won RuPaul's Drag Race
Mm.
twice, I think. I might be wrong on that though. Don't quote me on that, but I think she won RuPaul's Drag Race. So maybe that is what they're basing it on.
Is it outstanding drama because there's a trans character in it for half a minute in Star Beast and a giggle, and
Yeah.
then you have Jinx Monsoon in Devil's Chord, then you have a male lead gay character, and therefore this is an outstanding drama.
But that doesn't
911
make
Lone Star I watch, and you've got a gay paramedic and you've got a gay police officer and they're dating. And so it's outstanding. It's not outstanding. It's fun. Me and Jamie laugh our heads off at it because the plots are so ridiculous. Um,
yeah.
but
But
it's got to, you know,
but just because they're doing it to prove a point,
yeah.
and they've told us that we need to hear this messaging whether we like it or not, it
Yep.
is going to be there, um, doesn't make it outstanding. If they had integrated it like with the Star Beast, with Rose, if they had integrated her naturally and just didn't make a big song and dance about it, like they did, it was fine right up until the point that they did the pronouns, then it wouldn't have been as much of an issue. I mean, I have huge contentions with the fact that they aged her up for various reasons and whatever, so I have issues with that. But, doesn't make it outstanding.
Well, but it's funny, isn't it?
How you do it.
It's an outstanding drama, but it's getting 75 and 76 and 77 audience appreciation. So go fathom that, you
Yeah.
know.
I think it was GLAAD that gave, David Tennant an award, and this is where he said he's got skin in the game. This is why, it meant a lot to him that he was winning this particular award. I can't remember what it was
Yeah.
now. It eludes me. But he said that he wished, Kemi Badenoch would just
Mhm.
shut up or something along those lines. Very charming, very tolerant, and of course, naturally, Kemi Badenoch went, "No."
Thank you.
And now she's the leader of the Conservative Party, and I bet that's got him riled right up.
Well, just to add to that, because I agree with you. As you know, on the Sunday show, I showed that famous RTD quote when he talked about Kamala Harris on the RuPaul show. And of course, so RTD's all guns for Kamala. She lost.
Mhm.
And you've just had Kemi Badenoch slagged off by David Tennant, and she
Yeah.
happens to be the leader of the opposition now. So I know they will both say they don't care, their principles come first, but you're just dragging the show more and more into these murky waters. It isn't going to bode well.
I think part of what David Tennant, yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry, my head's still with Kemi Badenoch at the moment. I think him saying that, because this was just around the sort of time I think Rishi Sunak was in a lot of sort of like hot water. I think that probably helped her propel her case to actually get in and become the leader of the opposition. I think that probably helped her a lot.
It's
Anyway,
crazy. And then you've got Donald Trump just got in America saying there are only two sexes and there's no trans children. Now I'm not getting involved in that this second, but the point is you've got a major country just pushing that way, and David Tennant saying, I've got skin in the game, and we've got
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh,
Oh no, no such thing.
can of worms, I tell you.
So that is a whole can of worms, and I'll say no such thing here. And if anyone wants to know what I mean by that, feel free to go to my channel anytime you like, because I am very clear on where I stand about that
Yeah,
particular
yeah.
no such thing comment. But I won't
Well,
say it on
well,
here.
we've both read the cast report, and the cast report is very clear. You shouldn't be dealing with children.
Mhm.
So all we're doing is backing the top consultant on it. That's all we're saying. So the BBC, you're complicit in all of this. I just thought I'll put that poster up. The BBC. If in doubt, always blame the BBC. Now, the next one, I'm going to go big just so you can see it. I'm not an expert on Marvel. I'm not an expert on gaming, but I want to cover all the angles in our life of woke. And in this one, the game Rivals is being accused as being racist, sexist, tone deaf. Now they're going mad because the first lot of characters who are depicted in this game are the same old lineup as usual, it said. So you're thinking,
So what's the problem?
so they're going mad that they've stuck with the white dudes that they normally do, and they've not picked diverse and groundbreaking characters from the Marvel universe, which was, as we know, haven't landed very well. Um,
Yeah,
and so that's the allegation in that first paragraph. That
right.
where's the inclusivity? Now, I assume you're playing the game because you just want to play the game. You're not saying, I'm not buying the game. It's got Superman, it's got so and so, it's got so and so, but it hasn't got that strange one, Snowflake, And don't even try to tell me they're saving them for future updates, says somebody. That's just code for we don't care about diversity unless it makes us more money. The women in this game are either over sexualized or treated like afterthoughts with the weakest abilities and the least relevance to the gameplay. Um,
Wow.
and so you think all that gets me, whether you know the game or not, and I don't, is listen to the gamers out there will just want their Marvel world. Why do they want DEI thrust into the game? This is getting really. this is where I would agree with the president of America saying it shouldn't be oozing into every pore of the planet, DEI policy. It just shouldn't.
Well, it shouldn't, especially the I mean, we've talked about the race and all of that. There's also this whole contention about the women being overly
Yeah.
sexualized. Now, to me, this game, Marvel Rivals, obviously I don't know much about it. I'm not a big gamer. There are other content creators that would cover the woke issues regarding this much better than I would. But the over sexualization of the women is a big cause for contention. So they go in, particularly under the last government. They would go in with these games like Spider-Man. Who's Spider-Man's partner? Mary Jane, is her name
Oh, I
Mary
don't
Jane?
know.
I
I don't know.
can't remember. But in like early iterations of the game, she's very pretty.
Mm.
And now they've tried to make her look as unappealing as possibly can because that's more of an accurate representation of women. I don't understand how that is now. I consider myself to be a plain Jane, but I'm told that I'm not, right? I get told that I'm definitely not. But I just like, why? Why do you need to? I mean, Lara Croft, right? Lara Croft is also another good example. Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
When she was around in the 90s, she was big boobs, big butt, small
Yep.
waist,
Yep.
absolutely glamorous. And then gradually over the years, they've sort of made her look very like unappealing. There was this whole issue around, I can't remember the name of the game, but they got a Korean, I think it was a Korean game, and they got a Korean model to model and be programmed in for that game, and the women were like, no, that's not how she should look, that's not how she looks, like blah 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 blah. And then she was like, and they were like, yes she does. And they actually showed a
Mm.
picture, a thing of her being scanned in, and she was literally like that. She looked like that.
And
And so, she was correctly represented, and they had a problem with it.
yeah, and if you talk
Mhm.
about over sexualized cartoon characters, I mean, you could say, well, if you see an episode of Love Island, all the women with their strange lips and everything, there's a certain look that's seen. I mean,
The trout out.
just make it a caricature. I mean, why not? I
Yeah,
mean, they've turned
footballers' wives.
yeah.
Oh, there's another one. That soaps are notorious for it at the moment. They all look the same.
Can you remember when the Coronation Street actress Lynn Perry got sacked because she had a trout pout?
When was that? I
Oh, bless
remember
her.
something about it.
Yeah, Mrs. Tilsley she was. She was, Gail Tilsley's just left, so
Yeah,
Ivy Tilsley. So days I used to watch Coronation Street. Now, Lynn Perry was in her late 50s and early 60s, and she was on The Word now and again doing crazy stuff. She was a bit like a dodgy cabaret singer sometimes.
yeah,
She was an actress, but she would sometimes, do a bit of that.
yeah, yeah,
You can imagine her on the boats, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I sound scathing.
yeah,
But she suddenly obviously went and had some bits done to her face, and she ended up, she's supposed to be this working class kind of rough mother, and all of a
yeah.
sudden she's got this trout pout, and she's, girl, what are you doing? Anyway, they sacked her because of because of the fact that she now looked like a Love Island mother failure or something.
Who was another one who she didn't get sacked or anything, but was it Leslie Ash? I want to say Leslie Ash
Oh, bless her,
did
yeah.
something to her lips and it went wrong.
Oh,
They're, they're,
bless
they're
her.
fine now. They've settled down a fair bit, but
Yeah, she was misbehaving badly, wasn't
that's
she?
right. Yeah,
And yeah, well, I think they nearly killed her actually, didn't they? The lips.
yeah,
It was unfortunate. She was a beautiful woman as well.
very absolutely. But yeah, like they all look the same in soaps nowadays. No one has. I remember when EastEnders, they all looked really different.
Yes,
Now
yes.
there's a certain look that they go for.
Yeah, there's that eyebrows and this and that.
Yeah,
I find it. I remember
yeah.
when I started teaching. You can see the trends. I mean, all the girls had this kind of hairsprayed fringe that came out here. It's like whoa, it's like a helmet. But but they were still different. They looked different. It was just the fringe was the same. But now I think everything, everything's plucked and this and that. Everything looks as though they're trying to look like a model thing. It's very strange.
It's very bizarre. You read it sometimes in the casting calls as well when they want something really specific, and it's like, "I
Yes, we
don't have that, sorry."
yes. And we know you can't act, but have you been on Love Island? I will give you an acting role because we want somebody looking like Love Island. There seems to be, but they call them celebrities now, don't they? When they've been on a reality TV show and then they give them an acting part
Yeah.
because they have looks or something. I don't know. Okay, then we'll move on from that one.
They did that with Kim Marsh, but she just so happens to be quite good at acting,
She
so
does, and she can sing as well.
and
Yeah.
she can sing, yeah.
Well, there's Windy Miller. I thought I'll put Windy Miller in when I'm mentioning Ed Miliband. Isn't it weird? America is banning all wind turbines. Meanwhile, Ed Miliband is going to do a crackdown on gas production, and we're going to have loads of Windy Millers, and we'll be bankrupt at the same time. But anyway, I just wanted to put that in because some would argue, is this the woke agenda? That are we trying to be worthy by saying, aren't we a lovely country by just having lots of wind turbines and not much carbon footprint? Meanwhile, we're bankrupt. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Is woke going to make Britain broke?
At this rate, yeah, yeah. Hi, America.
Yes, yes.
We may come to join you for the for the Republican Party reign.
Oh, I know when he says we're going to drill, and I'm thinking we've just cancelled drilling. Oh my God, what? When different countries are doing different things, you can't be the one that does this kind of pious virtue signaling game. That's called bankrupting. You just can't do it.
Yeah,
But
these sorts of things are really expensive as well.
yes, and they don't last.
No, they don't. It's like it's fine having like some here and there, whatever, but you got to be pragmatic as well.
Yeah. So there you go. I just thought I'll throw that in there because we could go political if necessary. This is political. You pointed this out to me, and of course, I think
Yeah.
I always have it in my comedy pile, unfortunately, because I think they're open to ridicule half
Oh,
the
this
time.
is ridiculous. So what this was, I came across this. This was happening in a supermarket called Sainsbury's. Vegan activists were blocking people's way in the meat aisle. And what was happening was instead of the staff getting them removed because they were on private property doing this, they were telling the other customers who wanted to go down the meat aisle, whether regardless of whether or not they were buying meat, to actually move back and go around the other way. It's like, deal with the problem that you have, which is the vegan activists. Now, I'm almost vegan by default because I can't have a lot of dairy and I don't like meat, but I would never do something like that.
No,
That's taking it to the extreme.
well, it's like, look, the farmers are trying to do a protest at the moment over the inheritance tax and everything. And so when you protest, you need to go protest big and you need to be strategic. I remember when um, you remember the oil strike when Tony Blair was prime minister and they were
Mm.
blocking nearly every depot, so the
Oh,
garages ran
were
out of
they?
petrol, and that works. That kind of protest works.
Mm.
This, three people sat in one supermarket is just open to just ridicule, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get us anywhere. It's
No.
not. It's not a campaign that's going to actually win. It's just going to get people laughing and a bit irritated. The bit you're telling me about the managers and the shop assistants saying go this way, that irritates me in the other way, which is, when you've been queuing and all of a sudden they say, sorry, we are shutting this till, you need to get in that queue. They are very happy to direct you then.
Yes.
But suddenly you go, I mean, if I was one of these protesters, I say, I am standing here and I'm going to be served. Well, oh, that must happen. Why do they get special treatment when the rest of us get told, no, you have to move there now. No, that's shut now. No, the cafe is shut in. You need to vacate the cafe. Excuse me.
Because it could turn violent. And that would be the only reason why I would think that maybe they would do that. Maybe, I mean, we don't obviously know what happened prior to this, and we don't know what happened after this. It could be that the police had already been called, so the management were waiting patiently. But at this, I can understand why they were pushing
Although
through.
I throw in the other one, which is you hear this about shop assistants and managers, and then equally you see so much footage of people blatantly shoplifting, and they just kind of talk to them, please give it back, and then they run out of the shop, and you're going, I
Mm.
don't know what's happening to society. We just seem to be falling apart a bit, you know.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I know a security guard, okay, and he says for this one particular shop, I don't know. I'm not going to name the name of the shop, by the way, and I don't know if this is the case for other places. He is just there with regards to this particular place for show.
Uh,
He can't stop him.
mm.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is, and I saw an individual. I was in a coffee shop near where I used to go to teach. I was meeting a teacher, and it was lunchtime period, and all of a sudden there were about 5 or 6 people running out of a shop after this person who'd nicked a big bottle of alcohol, right? And but they chased him and they sprint. They must have hired somebody. Never mind DEI. They must have got somebody who was a 100 meters sprinter because they were fast and they caught up with the lad and then crowded him back to the shop. And you think, oh, so in some shops they do still have this active policy of retrieving, whereas other ones it's gone. It's
Well,
gone.
yeah, I think some of them it's gone. I think maybe in this case, although I say this loosely because I do wonder. In this case, in this particular shop, it is within the grounds of a shopping precinct in a shopping mall. So maybe it's because the security for the actual shopping mall will be better equipped to deal with it. I
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
know because there's more of them maybe, and they do have the right to stop them, and you will see them running after people when that you do see that, and they go on the lookout for people, so maybe that's why, I don't know. I tell you something, I used to work for Poundland. One of my first ever jobs was Poundland for my sins. I wasn't a
How
big
much
fan
is
of
this? How
working,
much
yeah.
is this?
Oh my goodness, that was back in the day when it was all a pound
Yeah.
and you were good. I got so annoyed with someone once when they asked me this question because 'cause I'd had it about 100 times that day. She goes, "How much is this?" And, I go, "It's a pound," and then I went, "Everything's a pound at Poundland." I was
And if and if
17, okay?
and if I have 3 of these, how much is that?
Yeah, it was literally that, but anyway, one of the jobs that I actually excelled at was working on the till. I was fast. I was like,
1 plus
um,
1
uh,
plus 1.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And this was all the days before the automated machines, which I really hate. But they used to have a system, a bell system. I don't know if they still got it now. It doesn't really matter. But if you press the bell 3 times, they would come pelting because they would think that somebody is stealing something. Well, that's what they said. Um, and weirdly, we had this incident once where someone did press the bell 3 times because someone was stealing. Absolutely nothing happened. And then another day, I pressed the bell twice for something completely different, but my friend opposite pressed the bell immediately after, and they thought they had heard 3 bells, and they came pelting up the shop, like from downstairs, and we're like, "What are you doing? Someone's stealing something. Where are they going?"
Yeah, yeah,
No, no one's stealing anything. I pressed the bell twice. She pressed it.
yeah. Don't you think this is partly you see that picture to me nowadays, which and that run into you when you were 17, there's this kind of I think the wokeness now has bled into people think to be woke is to be polite when really you shouldn't be polite and you should be firm. You know, this
Mm.
kind of, or no, they're just protesting, so let's go around them. No, 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 no. That's not clever at all. But yes,
And well, here's the thing: these activists do they actually stand and do they actually listen to what other people actually have to say? Because it's that situation of where you judge someone by who they are and what they are by just something that they've posted on the surface. For example, my videos are some people have said, "Oh yeah, well you're this and you're this and you're this. How can you tell by the titles of your videos and your title
Yeah,
cards? Have you
yeah,
actually clicked on it?" I might actually agree with you. For all you know, this man might actually agree with them. He could just be going up to the other end of the aisle where there might be some vegan cheese. You don't know that, you know, but I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of things that I agree. I agree with, like Just Stop Oil. Just Stop Oil is chaotic
yeah.
here in the UK. The way that they protested and they compared themselves to suffragettes, yet this is a completely different thing that they're fighting, you know?
Oh, yeah, let's compare myself to something worthy. I know this is classic.
Yes, suffragettes fighting a social construct versus something that affects the environment is yeah,
Just classic. Well,
classic.
I just thought to see what mirth this gets out of you. So there was an article late September 24, as a new study shows that companies which choose to be more inclusive tend to make more money. Now, isn't it interesting? Because it says, of course, go woke, go broke isn't true. Why would it be? So, of course, the argument goes here that everybody says, if when you try and follow the LGBT agenda or you try and go very liberal, that actually these companies get into a pickle. But the argument actually seems to be the opposite. So, Unstereotype Alliance, which might have skin in the game, as we said
Mm,
today, analysed the marketing strategies of 392 brands across 58 countries, and they found that so-called woke marketing provided companies with an edge when it came to consumer preferences and long-term sales figures. Now, that's one argument there. It's just I think we're aware of when it doesn't work like that.
yeah,
Um, it makes sense when you think about it for even a second. If you go woke, go broke was true, companies wouldn't expend so much effort going woke, is the argument there. Now, you see, Rachel, straight away, I'm going, hold on a minute.
mm,
I'm aware that you see the rainbow flag on everything from, car companies and everything at certain times of the year. But at the same time of year in the Middle East, the same companies do not have that rainbow flag.
no.
So actually, the go woke, go broke is much more selective, actually.
It is much more selective. Jaguar is a good example of that. That advert, that went over to other countries where it's illegal to be trans trans model in that, cut, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolute no-no.
So, or their sales go up. Well, hold on a minute here. Yeah, I'm not quite
So,
sure. I mean, I'm not convinced by these companies
like,
doing
for
this.
example, so Jaguar are gonna have to make an awful lot of money back, seeing as they're planning on cutting 85% of their clientele,
Yeah.
right? Um, they might have success in the countries where they're not actually allowed to, promote with trans people and not allowed to promote with any kind of woke agenda that is it within the LGBT
Mm.
community because it's illegal.
But then the other thing is, because they pick and choose the country where they'll, for example, show the
Yeah,
rainbow flag on that,
I'd like
then
to know
with
the name of those countries.
yeah, and
Yeah.
therefore whether they make a bit more money in the West when they do the rainbow flag and Pride Month, but in the Middle
Mm,
East they won't.
mm.
Oh, that's very clever sales. Actually, but it tells me what actually has happened in America in the last week, which is suddenly Disney and everybody are dropping DEI like it's a plague. And therefore, as we said last week, they clearly didn't believe in it in the first place. It was a fad because they have
Trend.
dropped it so fast. There clearly hasn't been conviction. And just like I see these companies, oh, it's Rainbow, it's Pride Month in Britain or the West. So we're going to have all these lovely little things in shops and everything. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, nothing. If that improves their sales, that doesn't mean they're correct. It just means that they are very cynical.
And it doesn't mean, like, shops putting the pride stuff up in the shops and whatever, that doesn't mean that they believe in it.
Hmm.
They see, ding, ding, it's money.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, we've got the Dylan Mulvaney example where,
Mulvaney is a very good
uh,
example.
and of course that was attacking. You see, I mean, I felt it was delicious in many ways because I find that sometimes the arguments about toxic masculinity can go too
Mm.
far. Uh, so Gillette faced a huge backlash for its adverts calling out toxic masculinity, and Bud Light sales declined massively after partnering with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Exactly, they didn't know their market. They got it wrong. They were so busy attacking one thing they forgot the other, and so yeah. If somebody wants to make this argument that go woke, go broke doesn't make sense,
Well, it may not affect every company. Some companies, it might help them, but it does actually cause problems for other companies. It does. We've seen it.
where do you stand on the companies? It was just mentioned in the last slide then that, Starbucks and various ones, never mind the rainbow kind of banner that I've mentioned. At other times in the year, the companies only say happy holiday and not happy Christmas now. And of course, I still would say in Britain, you're missing the point. It should be happy Christmas. It's
Yeah.
the essence of,
Happy
and happy
Christmas,
holiday
Merry
is just
Christmas.
trying to, because they'll still say Eid and they'll still say various other festivals. They'll be specific, but when it comes to Christmas, they say happy holiday. And then
Mm.
I'm going, actually, we've gone a bit too woke there because it seems that the Christian religion is neutralized.
It's funny how it's always the Christian religion, isn't it?
Mm,
I
mm.
find that very, very interesting how it's always Christianity.
And as you think that, unfortunately, you go into other areas going, yes, I think there's too much tiptoeing around
Mm.
sometimes. If you want equality and equity, then you have to be across the board the same.
Yeah, you do have to be across the board the same and not doing it for the sake of doing it and giving the right people for the getting the right people for the job, when it comes to employment and things like that. Quite often people are being overlooked, that sort of thing. It's very it's a balance that you've got to really work on and get right.
What did you make of the Bishop of Washington with her speech about those scared LGBT children and scared trans?
I'm going to put it like this. I didn't think that the church believed in that.
I didn't think the church were very good on LGBT rights,
Mm.
really. I
It's
can't
very,
marry as a Catholic, in a
mhm.
church. So yeah,
Yeah, I was a bit surprised about that.
and as somebody else said, as we said with the Cass report, the Bishop of Washington talked about scared trans children, and the argument might be, well, trans children as a definition, you need to be careful.
Very.
Um, and I have seen, I think you've seen videos, I've seen you've done shows about them where basically, when people get I'm very frightened that Trump is going to take me away and take away my rights. And you're thinking,
Nah.
no, you can still exist. You can still dye your hair. You can still dress how you want. But they are scared.
They
I,
are
I
scared.
believe they're scared, but I don't know. I don't think they've got the facts right on what they're scared of.
No, I don't think so. I don't
Um,
think so. It's not like he said, "You can't exist." It's just I this is what I think it is, and this is just my opinion. I think he is trying to bring back the sense of normality where lines have been blurred, where
yeah.
biology actually matters.
Yes.
And I think that's what he's trying to do. Yes, he's going to remove the funding from, I think it's called Medicare, but that's because the access to it was too easy. It takes, I was doing research on this the other day for my video, because last I checked, I couldn't remember how many years it takes to get gender affirming care in on the NHS here in the UK. 7 years.
Yeah.
Up to 7 years. That had gone up from about 4 to 5 years to 7
Mm.
in, in a very short space of time. It's very difficult unless you go private, and I think it's just the access to it, from what I can gather, I'm not an expert, was just too easy.
Yeah. And It's the fear factor that I
Yeah.
find interesting, which is, the Bishop of Washington was saying, be cognizant, President, that people are scared. But I'm sure in a way they were all sat there going, but scared of what? We haven't got any plans. We're announcing there's only two genders. But as you said quite rightly about blurred lines, there was a famous song called Blurred Lines, which quite rightly was about, it it can get difficult in a kind of power dynamic in a bedroom scene, but basically blurred lines, in so many parts of our life, we need not them to be erased. We
Mm.
need clarity.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Because,
know,
like, if you decided that you were going to transition and you wanted to change everything and you were very adamant about, like, you were now, you were now female, you were you were 100% female, and you go to the doctor's office, the GP, and you register at this new GP, say if it's a new GP, and you put down that you're a biological female, and then you go in to see your doctor, that's going to be confusing as
yeah,
anything, because they'll be like, well, I'm here to give you a medical examination, but you're not female.
yeah,
It's like, that's where it's got to come back in. That's where you need the clarity.
yeah,
Medical care. I'm not going to go and walk in and ask a doctor to give me a prostate exam. That would be weird.
yeah.
That'd
And
be
and this is
so
what I
weird.
mean. I think the blurred lines, it's not damaging anybody. It's actually saving other people. So, for example, yes, if I went down the path of declaring that I was in the wrong body, a
Mm,
woman, and I want to be recognised as a woman, dress like a woman, behave like a woman, have a body of a woman.
yeah,
That doesn't mean I can just walk into your toilets now. That's a blurred line.
that's a very
And it
blurred
has
line.
been a blurred line. And I think I personally think that's what we're trying to do, is just say, we can respect, you can do that. You can change your body, you can do that, but you can't go there.
Especially, like, looking the way that you do now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be like, "Hey, like, get out," you know? It I saw some comments where some people who are trans were saying that this also affected their bathroom rights, but I don't think it does from what I can understand. Because, like, there's a transsexual called Buck Angel. If I didn't know Buck Angel was a transsexual and he walked in to my bathroom, I'd be like, what on earth?"
Mm,
You know, because he passes very well. And, like, there's another one, Blair White, she passes really well.
yeah.
And if she had walked into your bathroom, you would be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Because she passes so extremely well. So I don't think it's going to affect bathrooms. And you know what I say? Even if it does, even if you think it's going to, there are, like, individual stalls that you could use,
Yeah.
you know,
There's
like,
lots of
to check.
unisex toilets now as well.
Yeah.
Well, as usual, we've had a variety of items on our that was the week that was woke. We go political, we go cultural, we go media. But just to finish off, this is meant to be a nice jokey item. 9 ways evil woke snowflakes have ruined Christmas, from quality street rappers to 0% beer. This is an Evening Standard. Yeah.
At my
This
work, I drank 0% Guinness.
well, this is in the just so anybody knows, this is not just me getting a meme. This is from the Evening Standard in London. All right. So it's from a newspaper. So here's number one: quality street rappers. What the bleeding heck is going on here? Flipping or sustainable rappers. What was wrong with the silver foil versions? Proper rappers. So you can see where it's going with this one.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
can.
yeah,
I'm all for zero waste wherever you
yeah,
can.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm woke.
Well, can you remember when you were little, the Easter eggs, and you God, there were so many layers of cardboard and everything that
Yeah.
even within that, I mean, I get the character options Doctor Who stuff, and you know that the plastic and the plastic and the plastic, and you're thinking, this is mad, really.
Mm.
So anyway, there's item one. Item two, yeah, you're definitely woke now. That's it.
The 0% Guinness was disgusting. I'll just say that.
Well, at our wedding, because I did a last minute thing with our wedding, really. It was on a Wednesday, and it was at 2 o'clock. So clearly, I wasn't thinking I was going to get 200 guests because they're all working. So that I was aware that people would come to our reception at our house, but
Mm.
they couldn't hang around forever because it's midweek. They'll be at work the next day and everything. So we got a lot of 0% champagne and prosecco and stuff like that, and it went down a treat.
I bet it did.
Yeah,
People do drink it.
yeah.
If they've got that option to drink it, they do.
So you've had two jokey items here, yeah?
Yeah,
So you're getting the level now, aren't you?
yeah,
Here we
I
go.
am.
Doctor
Oh,
Who is black and gay. I mean, so suddenly Doctor Who's open back to ridicule again from the Evening Standard in London. You sit down to watch Christmas Day telly, and it's not enough that Top of the Pops isn't even on anymore, thanks to all those streaming walkies. But when you gather for the once yearly watch of Doctor Who, he's now black and gay. Everybody knows that Doctor Who is a white, straight patriot from the planet Britain. I'm just quoting. Those are facts. How can he even fight the Cybermen if he's too busy checking out their robot rumps? So,
oh, Cybermen. Let
oh,
me have a look
gosh,
at your rump.
I think it's too. I think whoever's written this has seen my opening credits when the Cybermen, you can see their legs. But
Probably. No, you may not. That is an emotion.
mind you, I was talking to. I was recording for another show with you, and we were talking about Bill Potts when she became a Cyberman.
Yeah.
And she became a Cyberman, but there's a shot where basically he looks as though it's got a male appendage, this Cyberman still. But
Do
so
you know when I next watch that? Because that will probably come up soon. Because I do actually like that story.
I
I'm
do,
not
yeah.
going to be able to see anything else.
When you see the Master and you see Capaldi, and in the middle is Bill Potts as Cyberman, and
And it's that old school Cyberman, isn't it? You know, because it's
yeah,
based off of Spare Parts,
so it's
isn't
a
it? That
slightly
one.
looser outfit, and as
Yeah.
you know what that does to people. Um, so Bill Potts must have had a hell of a shock, going, not only am I a Cyberman, I'm now a man. So these Mondasian Cybermen are evil. And the fact that she kept saying she was lesbian, I think, was quite an affront to her that she suddenly was a
Wait,
male.
she's gay. She's a lesbian.
Yeah,
What?
sorry. Was it a secret?
I think so.
Have I outed her?
I think so.
So, yes, I know you look at that, I could see your face going, well, you can't just because he's black. But you can see it's a joke. Doctor Who's a joke. It's just a joke item like quality rappers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what worries me. Turkey crowns, that we're all snowflakes. We can't have a proper full turkey. We can only have turkey crowns. Aren't we
Oh
pathetic?
dear. Oh dear. What did you have? Did you have a turkey crown?
I think we did actually, yeah. But
Yeah.
the turkey, is he not?
They
Yeah,
are big. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No. My parents had a turkey crown this year.
Now, I wasn't sure about this one. I don't even know if I believe this is true, but it was saying back in the good old days when there were 3 channels, there would only be one film shown on Christmas Day, and that was The Great Escape. And nowadays, you just get all this woke stuff, which is always going to be something like, what is it? It's gone on my next page. I know it says it. Wrong one. They talk about Toy Story or Inside Out. That's all you get. Well, actually, no. I didn't watch them, but I noticed in lots of old movies over Christmas. I
I
did
didn't.
notice.
I didn't watch much TV at all over Christmas actually this year. But yeah, generally they always do. There's always some old school musicals that are on. I think my dad said he was watching. Was it Meet Me at St. Louis? I think my dad said he was watching that the other day at Christmas.
Yeah,
And there's
were Eagles Dare? All of those were on. I
yeah,
could see they were on.
carry-ons. Carry-ons are
Carry-ons.
normally quite common at Christmas, and I mean, what is Christmas without Oliver
Yep, Oliver.
and Mary Poppins?
Yeah, Wizard of Oz
Yeah,
was still there.
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Recyclable wrapping is another sin. What's all this brown crap? Wrapping paper should be as shiny as quality street wrappers used to be. Now they have made it easier. I've noticed you can even see the line where you put your scissors now, and that helps. I like that.
Yeah,
I
it
like
does help. Yeah.
that. Almost
Well,
measure.
actually, I'm quite glad that, like, the shiny foil wrapping paper is gone because that was the bane of my childhood. My
Was it
parents were very mean.
what the wrapped you in one?
No, they would wrap up our Christmas presents, send them off to Father Christmas, and then Father Christmas would deliver them because Father Christmas is real.
Yeah,
Um, and it would come back with, like, all this tape all over it, and it will be, like, welded in, and it was
yeah.
very difficult to remove because silver foil wrapping paper, that type of wrapping paper, is very, very difficult to take off.
So
I
you
much like it now.
you drag it out for the kids even more, which is great. Cruelty, yes.
Yes,
Well,
yes. I
oh,
can't believe Father Christmas approved it.
those elves, whether you know,
Yeah.
near naked Christmas, bloody woke. Victoria Beckham is not content with stopping David Beckham playing for England, as memory serves, but now she's started on this undecorated tree malarkey, and suddenly everyone is going minimalist with the decorations. Well, I haven't seen that.
Nor have
Traf-
I, but she's
maybe,
always been very minimalist anyway, hasn't she?
yeah.
Mm.
I thought Trafalgar Square, the tree in Trafalgar Square tends to look quite minimalist nowadays. I don't think Sadiq Khan puts much effort into that one.
Mm.
A few baubles and that's it. And then you see New York and you go, oh my God, you know, they know how to do
Yeah,
Christmas.
I heard years ago that, buses would take, like, detours to go in the US to go and look at people's houses.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. I don't know if it was true,
When
but
we lived in Brisbane, we noticed there was something in the newspaper and it would have all the addresses of people's houses where they had so many Christmas lights.
mm,
And you were invited to go to their garden and walk in it.
mm,
And but they normally had a bucket for charity as well. But you and actually the heat from all I mean, it was amazing. But
yeah,
I remember one year taking Jamie's parents, we just drove around Brisbane walking into people's gardens and garages. It was weird.
yeah.
But yes, quality cracker gifts. Nowadays, you pull a cracker and what comes out, not a little plastic mustache to entertain the grandkids or plastic frog. Um, Now it's all quality metal gifts. Why on God's green earth would I want a napkin ring from my cracker? Um, I mean, yeah, I suppose it depends on the quality of your cracker.
I
But
suppose so.
did you hear about the advent calendar, which was teaching kids about life and third world? Um,
No,
yeah, I think it was on a
that's
certain
woke.
it was on a certain news channel. When they got to say the 8th or the 9th of December, they open and there's nothing behind it. And that's to teach them not to be greedy and that you don't always get what you want. So, oh my God.
Ah, that's harsh. That's harsh. Sorry, that's the parents' job. You have no right to interfere.
No. And to make it a commercial game, I mean, go
Oh, for
away.
goodness sake.
Let the
There's a lot
kids
of
enjoy.
commercialization around Christmas anyway, but, you know, for children, I would never spoil it for children
No,
because they get so
please.
excited.
Yeah. You've already guilted them that the British Empire's made them a bad person, and then there's this and that.
Yeah,
By the
yeah,
time they're 6, they've got so much sin.
yeah. So
So
much
let them have a nice
baggage.
yeah, let them have a nice Christmas.
Oh, goodness, let kids be kids, please.
And here we've got the last one, the loony lefty politics. So here we go. That didn't take long, did it? I haven't
No,
even put one Brussels sprout in my pie hole, and already the woke brigade have started in on Palestine and trans, and now bloody Syria and Trump and all the rest of it. And then I'm the one who gets shouted at when I point out that. So I suppose it's Christmas dinner with the relatives, and suddenly politics comes up.
can't you just leave politics aside
Yes.
for one meal?
Yes, well, this is what I mean. So that was the week that was woke. I thought that would be a slightly lighter effort. There you go.
Yeah.
So, what's coming up on your channel, Rachel?
Uh, well, not a lot as it stands at the moment at this time of recording. I only have one video written. The others have yet to be written, but I do know what Mondays is going to be. So we've got Doctor Who Sunday, and it's going to be The Green Death.
The Green Death, a good
Yes.
one. Yes, the giant maggots. So tune
Good,
in.
good,
What
good.
time does that normally land again?
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 p.m. Sunday, normally to coincide with going somewhere else later on. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so there we go. That was the Queen of the Walk. Rachel had chat about it. I personally think the walkest. Oh, I'm a Doctor Who fan. I'm going to go straight for it. The Joy to the World audience appreciation figures just tell me that they've gone woke and they've gone broke.
Yes, I think so. I'm going to choose, weirdly, I'm going to choose Donald Trump, recognizing that woke has caused a lot of issues. So he's done his own bit of wokeness. I say that loosely, by the way, wokeness, and he's gone and he's started to make corrections over it. And as much as I actually don't like him very much at all, I do
No.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cynical.
Yeah.
Who isn't cynical in the politics? I have to say, I think when a politician tells those that they are worthy and full of conviction, you have to kind of go, really?
Yeah.
Because so many of them are playing so many games. I know there's some decent ones out there, but will you point them out to me, please?
Yeah. And I think, even though you can vote for whatever party you like, and even if the party that you don't like is in power, you can find things that you would agree with them on and say, yeah, actually that's right. And then you can also disagree with them, you know. But isn't it amazing how politicians just don't work together anymore?
No,
Do they ever? But
because it serves their lazy interests to divide. Because actually, it's harder to compromise and sell the compromise.
yeah,
And so, if you just go very tribal, yeah, you'll lose for 5 years, but you're back in 5 years later. So I think, and it's an easier grifting position.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah.
Everybody, send us suggestions. It's a funny one, this. Rachel, send her topics as well for her channel. We're always looking for woke topics and stuff like that. So send us to them both. Gmail to me. What's your? I mean, I know you chat about it, but what's your? How do we write to you?
Yeah. So if you would like my email, some of my subscribers do that anyway. It is a really long email because it's all to do with the fact that I couldn't get the name I wanted for my channel. So it's chat about it, don't shout about it. And that's all one word at gmail.com.
There
So
you go.
it's the channel title at
Okay.
gmail.com.
Magic. Well, thanks a lot, Rachel. Hope you have a good weekend. Now the Fridays are monsters, and hopefully we'll do this again next week. So see you again, Rachel.
See you again, Brendan. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.